Now, a previous question, we had a part B which said, what was the distance after 3 hours? Now, we got to the point where the first group was 12 kilometres away, and then we came up with the second group were 15 kilometres away, and I came up with two triangles. I'd like to approach this using a rule called the Cos rule, and I'm not sure if you know the Cos rule, but let me write that Cos rule down, if it will work here. See, the Cos rule says, Cos rule starts, where is it? Why can't it? What's it doing? The Cos rule says that it's like Pythagoras, where it's a squared equals b squared plus c squared minus 2bc cos of the angle A. Now, side A is opposite angle A, side little b is opposite angle B, and side little c is opposite angle C. And this is, if it's a 90-degree angle, if cos of 90, because cos of 90 equals 1, cos of 90 equals 0, this particular term disappears when we're dealing with right-angled triangle, and you'll see the Pythagoras rule that a squared equals b squared plus c squared. Because if cos of A is 90, cos of 90 is 0, you would get 2 times b times c times 0, you get minus 0. So if I looked at this rule here, like this, if that was A, right, that's my squiggly line, that was side A, this would be side B, side C, and you'd get a squared equals b squared plus c squared minus 2bc cos of 90 degrees, and cos of 90 degrees is 0, and you'd get a squared equals b squared plus c squared minus 0, so a squared equals b squared plus c squared, and that works for 90-degree angles, so that's Pythagoras theorem for right-angled triangles. But this question is not a right-angled triangle, because up here, where the hut is not a 90 degrees, and that's where I'm going to put the angle A. So let me redraw that big triangle I've got up there. Let me make more space here. I'll just make that red, because that's the color of our, we've got this point where the first group finishes, got the point where the second group finishes, and we've got this hut here where they started, and that was like 12, and that was like 15. And now let me put some angles in. All right, so we've got, because you remember this was 60 degrees around to 2400 true, that was this direction here, and we had 30 degrees here, because this was 030 degrees true, if you remember that. Now, this is going to help us find the interior angles, and that's pretty important, because if that's 30 degrees there, hopefully you follow this, let me just make it blue again. If that's 30 degrees, that was 90 between west and north, because that's north, that's west. There was 30 degrees in there, because that was 240 plus another 30. So this angle in here, if you do the maths, would be 30 plus 90 plus 30. Can you see that's an angle of 150 degrees? And that's where I'm going to put capital A. A is 150. Here, A was 90 degrees. But here, I'm going to put A as 50. Now that's A, and B is 15, and or let's say B is 12, and let's make C is 15. You see. Now here's where my cos rule kicks in. A squared equals B squared plus C squared minus 2BC cos A. All right. So it's a bit different than the other method that I chose to solve this. And I'm not sure if I'm going to get any space to do this. So a squared equals b squared, 144, 12 squared, plus c squared, which is 15 squared. What's 15 squared? 125 and 225, is that right? 15 times 15 minus 2 times b times c times cos of 150. Now, I'm not sure if you're good with cos of 150. You can get it on a calculator, but what if you don't have a calculator? This is a bit difficult. I'm going to just show you where cos of 150 is. Cos of 150 is around about 30 degrees before you get to 180. This is normal calculator stuff, not compass, right? So cos of 150 is in the second quadrant, and cos in the second quadrant, cos is only positive in the first quadrant. They're all positive in the first quadrant and the fourth quadrant. So cos in the second quadrant is going to be a negative number. This is going to be a negative number. And 180 minus 30 is 150. So we're dealing with the same as cos of 30. So cos of 30 is going to be the same number as cos of 50, 150. Cos of 30 is root 3 over 2, so negative root 3 over 2. So if you had a calculator and put cos of 150 in, you should get 0.866 approximately. So without a calculator, we will say root 3 over 2, because that negative, that will become a positive. And ultimately, a will equal, up here, I'll put it up here, a will equal the square root of, and then you've got to go 144 plus 225, which is 369, plus, because two negatives make a positive, 2 times 12 times 15 is 30, is 360 times, so that's 360 times root 3 over 2, which is 180 root 3. So if you got a calculator and you found 369 plus 180 root 3, just square root of 369 plus 180 root 3. There's your answer for part 2. And you should get the same. I can't go any further than that because I don't have a calculator. But if you did have a calculator, you could plug that in and get the accurate length for A. Yeah, test this answer with the previous answer, see if you get the same result. Cheers.